Good evening and thank you for tuning in to Ashland Tonight News. Today is Wednesday, November 7th, and here's a look at today's top stories.
Have you noticed the construction on campus? TV2 has the story of AU's new greenhouse. Hear more when we come back.
And Empty Bowls was a great success last night. We'll have the details up next.
International Week has exciting events lined up all next week. Stay tuned for the schedule. I'm Rana Hamir.
And I'm Candace Kaczynski. You're watching Ashland Tonight News for local coverage you care about. Stay tuned, it's all coming up next. Well, construction began on campus last week for a new greenhouse located between Kettering and the senior apartments. The structure, which will cover 2,400 square feet, will be divided into 2 rooms. There will be one large room used for permanent teaching and class projects, and another for student research with faculty. A computer system will control the greenhouse, monitoring its conditions and heating and cooling. A $500 donation was made to the project, which is expected to be completed by the beginning of the spring semester.
AU held its biannual Empty Bowls event yesterday evening. Ashland Tonight News reporter Michael Hart has the scoop.
The aroma of a wide variety of soups filled Redwood Hall Tuesday evening as Ashland University held its Empty Bowls event in an effort to combat hunger both locally and internationally. Director of Community Service Rebecca Schaaf explains that the program is unique in that everybody in attendance gets to walk away with a part of the event.
You get a handmade ceramic bowl to remind you of all the empty bowls in the world. It's also a fundraiser for us, and all of the money we raise from ticket revenue and extra bowls that we sell and auction items, all of that money goes to the Ashland County Food Bank.
Schaaf says that the event is the result of many campus departments working together.
I think this is just an amazing collaborative event. It's something that we have never really done on our campus before this project started. So we get the art department involved, we get hotel restaurant involved. These are departments that we don't typically collaborate with.
The next Empty Bowls program is expected to take place in the fall of 2009. Reporting for Ashland Tonight News, I'm Michael Hartz.
AU students are once again enjoying those nice hot showers after a water main break left half of the campus without water for a day. The break occurred around 5 o'clock p.m. last Thursday in the parking lot between the dorms of Clark and Myers. Students in Clark, Myers, Kilhefner, and the Student Center were without water until after midnight that night. Students did have access to the rec center for the use of the showers and bathrooms if needed.
Next week, Ashland University will offer you the opportunity to have a look at different countries, mainly the Middle East. There will be a variety of programs co-sponsored by the International Student Services Office, International Club, and Office for Study Abroad. This week, which extends from November 11th to the November 17th, is called the International Education Week and will feature different international traditions and food. Sunday will kick off the week with an international dinner in Upper Convo, and on Monday an international festival will be held in Redwood, and a fashion show will be in Redwood on Thursday, and on Friday the 10,000 Villages sale will be in the Student Center from 9 to 5 p.m. If you are interested in any of these events, please contact the ISS office at extension 5935.
Well, it's always good to know what the AU president is thinking. Here's our very own Ashland Tonight News reporter, Kelly Ruskowitz, for the second edition of What Finks Thinks.
Welcome to the second edition of What Finks Thinks. Today, the president himself is joining me. Thank you so much for joining to TV2. We've definitely been really excited to talk to you and catch up. So, our first question that we have today, we know that you're a very busy day, or a busy guy, and every day you're trying to make this university bigger and better. So we'd like to know, what are the plans for Miller Hall? Are we really going to knock down the oldest building on campus and lose a piece of Ashland's history?
That sounds like a loaded question, Kelly. I wish I could tell you the answer to that today. Right now we are exploring all kinds of opportunities in terms of what to do with Miller. Of course, there are 2 options. One is to take Miller Hall and to tear it down. The other one is to redo Miller Hall completely. I think we've learned through an experience with Kettering, the cost of taking a building and taking an older building and redoing it as opposed to tearing it down, starting over. At this point, Miller Hall was laid out in what was called the domino theory in terms of how we look at it, in terms of what we do with it after people moved out of that into Bixler, for example. And the idea was developed to move people out of Andrews and move them into Miller, so they're closer to the Arts and Humanities building. So that's the long-range plan to address that. Again, no decision has been made because to remodel Miller has come with a price tag of $5 to $6 million.
Wow.
And so what we have to determine is, historically, is it of value? It was built in the 1920s. It is the oldest building on campus, but is it of value to try to redo it, or would we be better off as an institution to completely tear it down, build a new building for the needs of the campus? And that hasn't been determined yet.
Right.
That'll probably come out of a strategic planning process.
Okay, well, good to know. Another thing that from the past the students really miss is the Arctic Blast. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but ice sculptors would come from all over the world and they would create masterpieces out of big blocks of ice. So is there any chance Arctic Blast will be back at AU?
I don't know that Arctic Blast will be back as the format it was in the past. It was a great venue, but the difficulty with the Arctic Blast was the cost involved. And when we had to do budget cuts, the university had to determine whether or not it was worth putting $30,000, or I kind of forget whether it was either 10 or 30. It's a big difference in terms of what it was going to cost to bring the ice sculptors in. I think this year either CAB or Student Life is looking at ways in which they can create a winter carnival or winter festival to replace the Arctic Blast without that kind of cost.
Well, that'll be fun. That's exciting to look forward to. And which, a lot of events on campus that you are usually joining, you have your wife usually accompanying you, your wife Holly.
Holly.
Yes. So how did you two meet?
Well, it's a long story. We actually met here at college. I was a freshman. I mean, I was actually not a freshman. I was must have been close to a senior at that point. Holly was doing nurses training in Samaritan School of Nursing, took courses here on our campus for their undergraduate part of that, and we actually met at a party. I was actually with another date who happened to be a nurse, but met Holly that night and was taken to her. So.
Oh, well, that's very nice. So how many kids do you have together?
We have 2 children. We have a daughter, Allison, who's 35, and a son, Jonathan, who's 33.
Okay, and so plenty of grandchildren then?
We have 4 grandchildren. Allison has 3, and John has 1.
Oh, that's great. So you're a family man.
Love it.
You love spending time with your grandkids?
I do. I said a long time ago that grandkids don't know what a president of a university does, but they know what a good grandpa is. So for me, it's important to be a good grandfather to them.
That's great. Really great. Well, that's all the time that we have today. It was a pleasure chatting with you, and I'm looking forward to, the next What Finks Thinks. So if you have a question to ask President Finks, be sure to email tv2@ashland.edu. Thank you.
Coming up next on Ashland Tonight News, we'll have the results from yesterday's elections.
And we'll tell you what you need to know about a new strain of staph affecting one area school. It's all coming up next on Ashland Tonight News.
Stay tuned.
And now, another fact of Congress. Like a tree, our national government has 3 branches. First, there is the President of the United States, called the Executive Branch. The President is like your school principal. He makes important policy decisions on things like the environment and health care. He's also the Commander-in-Chief of the military. A second branch is Congress, called the Legislative Branch. The main job of the legislative branch is to debate and pass laws. They also oversee the activities of the president. And finally, there is the court system, or the judicial branch. Sometimes people disagree about what laws mean, so we ask judges to help us decide. The Supreme Court is the ultimate judge of the land. These 3 branches of government work together to form a complete system. And that's another fact of Congress.
Ashland Theological Seminary, transforming the world.
One pastor.
One counselor.
One city.
One campus.
One village.
One family.
One teacher.
One crisis.
One missionary.
One shelter.
One church.
Transforming the world, one student at a time.
As parents, we do whatever is necessary to ensure the health of our children. Sadly, most parents don't realize that their child's first eye exam with an eye doctor should be between the age of 6 and 12 months. I urge you to take your baby to an optometrist for a comprehensive eye assessment. It can literally change your child's vision of the future.
Infancy optometrists offer a no-charge eye assessment for infants 12 months old or younger. Call today to find an optometrist near you.
Well, as many viewers already know, Election Day was yesterday, and TV2 has your results. In the race for Ashland City Finance Director, incumbent Anna Tomasek defeated challenger Larry Paxton in a hotly contested battle. Tomasek, who was endorsed by former City Finance Director Nancy Boyd, received 2,492 votes, while Paxton, who received the endorsement of Mayor Bill Strine, received 2,013 votes. The City Finance Director is responsible for managing the over $52 million budget, as well as collecting taxes and grant writing for the city. In the race for Ashland City Council at large, Glenn Stewart easily held off challenger John Chorpering, collecting over 73% of the vote. And Ashland voters spoke loud and clear in the race for Ashland School Board as newcomer Bob Hill and Brian Lafolek ousted incumbents Martha Pendleton and Charles Folk. Both Hill and Lafolek each netted over 40% of the vote. And finally, in Richland County, Mansfield voters have elected a new mayor. Democrat and longtime councilman Donald Culliver defeated Republican Doug Versaw and independent William Anliker Culliver. Culliver collected 41% of the vote in the three-way challenge, allowing him to become the first African-American mayor in the city's history. Culliver replaces current mayor Lydia Reed, who could not seek re-election because of term limits. And for more Ashland County election results, log on to the county's Board of Elections website at www.ashlandboe.com.
After 40 years of being distinguished in Ashland, Perkins Family Restaurant and Bakery is sold to the Unique Ventures Group. This investors organization owns 27 other Perkins restaurants in the East Ohio and Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, the former owners of the restaurant, Cindy and Dross Cutlip, are proud of their successful restaurant business in Ohio.
Well, the outbreak of staph infections continues as a female junior high student in Lexington tested positive for a MRSA staph infection on Monday. School officials are in contact with the Richland County Health Department to make sure proper procedures are followed. The school assured parents that extra precautions were being taken and brought in extra staff to help disinfect lockers, desks, hallways, equipment, and buses. Administrators say that it is safe for the students to return to school. The MRSA staph infection is an infection that does not respond to a wide range of antibiotics and can be fatal. The bacteria becomes harmful when it enters through a cut or wound in the skin. To help prevent the infection, keep your skin healthy by washing and moisturizing dry, cracked skin. Eat well and get plenty of rest to help your immune system, and don't share things such as towels or razors with others.
After a 10% increase in the cost of student lunches, Lexington High School students boycotted the school cafeteria food. The cost of a lunch meal hiked from $2.25 to $2.5. The students have passed flyers last week promoting the boycott against the cafeteria lunches. Senior Tom Sisko led the idea along with other friends who helped distribute the flyers. Sisko said that there is no reason that can justify this higher price, especially that the food portions aren't generous enough. Despite the boycotters' efforts, Tricia Walls, the director of food services at the school, said that most students couldn't resist the cafeteria's popcorn chicken. It was noticed that about 444 students bought the full meal just yesterday.
The Ashland County Dispatcher's Post for the Highway Patrol is moving to the Mansfield Post and will become a multi-county dispatch unit. The change is occurring in phases and is expected to be completed by February. According to Lieutenant Michael Combs, the change is designed to streamline patrol operations and keep troopers on the road. Combs does not expect any troopers to be laid off as a result of the move, as they will be needed to help with the extra workload of the combined units. Combs also said that the combined unit will not affect the response time, and the service to the public will not be any less than what it has been.
A great number of Pakistani students, right activists and intellectuals have gone down the streets to protest Pervez Musharraf's declaration of emergency rule in the country. However, they are nervous and frightful of the consequences that may arise. This frustration comes after a series of mass arrests by the government have occurred, an issue that marks a danger against civil society. The U.S. government condemned Musharraf's enforcement of the emergency law and urged him to deal according to democratic standards. Moreover, the government decided to review the U.S. aid to Pakistan, a thing that can be debatable. It's worth mentioning here that most of the aid is related to the war against terrorism that America supports and funds.
U.S. soldiers continue to mourn the loss of 6 more troops in Iraq on Monday. 4 soldiers were killed when a roadside bomb exploded near their vehicle in the province of Tamim in northern Iraq. Another was killed in combat in the Anbar province, and a sailor was killed from injuries he received after an explosion occurred while conducting operations. Despite the lower death rates in the past few months, 2007 is now the deadliest year of the war, with over 850 deaths. The U.S. military has lost nearly 4,000 soldiers since the conflict began in March of 2003. Well, we'll find out your weather updates with Leland Gottlieb. Ashland Tonight News will be right back.
Our children want to know everything about the world around them. And yet sometimes what they discover makes them feel vulnerable and insecure. In times like these, they need the comfort of an adult, the honesty of parents, and playtime to help them deal with their feelings and fears. Time that will literally heal their hearts. The gift of imagination allows children to see a better world. Playtime allows them a chance to practice creating it. Don't underestimate the power of play.
But if you complete the journey, you will find your destiny among the world's greatest warriors. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Ashland Theological Seminary, transforming the world.
One pastor.
One counselor.
One city.
One campus.
One village.
One family. One teacher.
One crisis.
One missionary.
One shelter.
One church. Transforming the world, one student at a time.
Welcome back to Ashland Tonight News. I'm Leland Gottlieb with your weather. I hope all of you had the heat on full blast this week because it's been quite cold. As you can see, the current temperatures in our area are in the 40s, and even down far south we have temperatures in the 50s. Today's high was actually 10 degrees below average for this time of year. However, as we take a look to the west, you can see that there are moderating temperatures moving into our area. This won't be here, however, until later this week. As we take a look at the current picture, we can see that we have some snow showers to the east of us. And with these snow showers, they're all in association with a high pressure system. Usually a high pressure system means dry air. However, there are northerly winds moving over the lakes, and therefore we have some lake effect snow showers. As we take a look to the west, we see another cold front moving through. This will be in later this week. Now, as we take a look at the travel weather, you can see that there are some windy conditions that will be around our area later this evening. And just to the east of us, we'll see some rain and snow showers. Now, as we take a look at your 3-day forecast, we will see temperatures moderating. However, by Friday, we'll have some showers with the next disturbance. And Saturday will be partly cloudy with 50 degrees. Now, that's all I have for weather. Here's Brendan with sports. Brendan.
Thanks, Lee. I'm Brendan Bittner. Now let's get right to the action of AU sports. The football team continued its romp through the GLIAC with a record-setting 63-42 stomping of the Wayne State Warriors on Saturday, running their record to 7-1. The 63 points and 721 offensive yards are the most in AU history, breaking records set back in the 1920s. Quarterback Billy Cundiff threw a school record 5 touchdown passes. He was 16 for 23 with 379 yards. DeJuan Harvey carried the ball 13 times for 198 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jamon Javy had 121 yards on 8 carries and 1 score. He also caught 2 passes, both touchdowns for 90 yards. David Ziegelhofer caught 2 touchdowns and Nick Belanco had 1 touchdown catch. The Eagles have scored 354 points on the season, tying the 1972 team, which played 3 more games than the 2007 Eagles. AU can clinch a playoff berth with a win at home against winless Gannon this Saturday at 1 p.m. The volleyball team split 2 matches this weekend. They swept Wayne State on Friday 3-0, but on Saturday in a match between the top 2 teams in the GLIAC South, the Eagles lost with the division championship on the line. 13th ranked Hillsdale knocked off 9th ranked Ashland in straight games, 30-26, 30-19, and 30-26. The Chargers held the Eagles to a 101 hitting percentage. Mary Kate Glow led Ashland with 15 kills, 19 digs, and a 196 hitting percentage. Ashland finished the regular season 25-4 overall and 14-3 in the GLIAC. They host Findlay at 7 tonight in the first round of the GLIAC playoffs. So after this broadcast, get ready to head over to Kate's for the showdown. The men's swimming team won their 4th straight meet on Saturday against Grand Valley State, 146-138. The Eagles were led by 2 freshmen, Erica Hackinson, who won 3 events, the 200 freestyle, the 100 free, and the 200 individual medley. Derek Baylog claimed 2 top prizes in the 1,000 free and the 500 free. Chewy Vogel, Ben Monty, and Jonas Jeffsill each won 1 event. The men are 4-1 overall and 2-0 in the GLIAC. Their season resumes November 16th at Denison. The women's swimming team fell 166-119 in the same meet against Grand Valley. Freshman Allison Morgan won the 50 free and 100 free and joined Ashley Shoup, Jennifer Knight, and Jessica Hennick to win the 200 freestyle relay. The Eagles took the top 3 spots in the 200 IM. First through third went Nicole Birchmeyer, Lizzie Roymer, and Kimberly Ducharme, respectively. The women are 2-5 overall and 2-1 in the GLIAC. They travel with the men to Denison on November 16th. The men's cross-country team just missed its chance to go to nationals as they finished 5th at the regionals, 1 spot short of a national berth. Jeremy Train finished 12th as Ashland's top finisher with a time of 32:09.57. Brandon Bauer finished 28th, Cameron Johnson 39th, and Nick McClellan 43rd. It was the final meet of the season for Ashland, who finished ranked 21st nationally. AU's women also failed to qualify for nationals. Junior Becky Yoder was Ashland's top finisher. She was 25th at regionals with a time of 22:50.11. The women's basketball team completed its exhibition season, falling to Cleveland State on Tuesday, 78-42. They also lost a close game against Toledo on Sunday, 65-61. Ashland led the Toledo game with 8:13 to play, but the Rockets pulled ahead for the 4-point win. Betsy Morrison scored 22 points with 9 boards in the loss. This season, the Eagles hope to replace 2 of the top 10 scorers in university history after the graduation of Amber Rawl and Catherine Porterata. The women opened the season on November 16th in the GLIAC GLVC Classic against St. Joseph's. AU was 3rd in the GLIAC South preseason rankings. The men's basketball team also lost both of its preseason games against Division I opponents. They lost 88-59 to last year's national runner-up Ohio State last Wednesday and fell to Toledo on Sunday 75-70. Against Ohio State, senior Brett Bartlett led the team with 15 points and with 5 3-pointers. On Sunday against Toledo, Bartlett chimed in with 17, and forward Tyler Rosenberger matched that figure and added 5 boards. The Eagle men are also ranked 3rd in the GLIAC South. They begin their regular season on November 15th at home against Tiffin at 7:30. In high school football news, the Ashland Arrows knocked off visiting Olentangy Liberty at Community Stadium on Friday, 28-21. On Friday, they take on Region 6 top seed 11-0 Avon Lake, who is coming off an impressive 50-13 win over Midview. The regional semifinal game will be played at Brunswick Kirschfield at 7:30 p.m. That's a wrap on all your Ashland sports this week. Don't forget to head over to Kate's tonight at 7 to see the Eagles take on the Findlay Oilers in the GLIAC tournament. Also, Eagle football plays its last regular season game on Saturday at 1 at Community Stadium. That's all I have for sports this week. Up next is Natina Keys with your weekly health report. Stay tuned.
They came from every corner of the country. From small towns and big cities. But they all shared one thing in common. They belonged to a family called Marines. A tough and determined few, dedicated to protecting everything we hold sacred. And still they come. Celebrate the history of those proud few who have earned the title Marine.
Hi, my name's Tyler. I'm 15 years old. When I was 11 years old, I had bone cancer, and it looked like I was going to lose my leg. Thanks to the tissue transplant, I'm a regular teenager and pretty good golfer. I do have a scar on my leg. The scars do come in handy when I'm talking to the ladies because I tell them that it's a shark bite.
You have the power to donate life. Be an organ and tissue donor. To find out how, go today to donatelife.net.
My name is Sister Mary Claudina, and I run a home for abandoned children. I want to take care of children who have no parents because luckily I come from a very loving family. There are 8 of us. We learn to care for each other, to love each other, to fight among each other, just to be a family. And I think that's what I learned from home, and I wanted to share that with children who do not have that opportunity.
Welcome back to Ashland Tonight News. I'm Natina Keys. If your kids don't get enough sleep, they may end up being obese. Researchers say that getting more sleep may lower the risk of obesity in kids. They also say that every additional hour of sleep a 3rd grader gets per night reduces the child's chances of being obese in the 6th grade by 40%. The average amount of sleep for a 3rd grader is 9 hours per night. Anything less means kids are too tired to exercise and will spend more time on the couch. Studies show that sleep-deprived adults produce more ghrelin, a hormone that increases hunger, and decreases leptin, the hormone that signals fullness. Therefore, people who get less sleep are more likely to overeat. So parents, that's a reason to get the kids to bed early. A 2-year-old girl in India is doing very well after an extensive surgery. She was born with 4 arms and 4 legs. Doctors say the girl is joined to a parasitic twin that stopped developing in the mother's womb. The surviving fetus absorbed the limbs, kidneys, and other parts of the twin, in addition to the extra limbs. The little girl had entangled nerves, 2 chest and 2 chest cavities. A hospital's foundation paid for the operation because the girl's family could not afford the medical bills. Doctors say the girl is doing well. Leftovers in the fridge may be good, but having leftovers in the medicine cabinet is a risky idea. However, doctors say don't just throw these pills away, because children or even drug abusers may stumble through the trash. Researchers show that prescription drug abuse is on the rise, and more than half of the people who misuse drugs get them for free. No one knows just how many unused drugs Americans dump each year, or how many are hoarded because patients simply don't know what to do with them. Some patients were told to flush old drugs down the toilet, but that's safe to do with only a few types of prescriptions. The FDA says when people flush drugs with antibiotics and hormones, they end up in waterways and can cause environmental problems. For example, studies have linked hormone exposure to fish abnormalities. So what should you do with all that old medicine? Doctors suggest mixing cold syrup, Vicodin, Lipiton with used cat litter, old coffee grounds, or sawdust, then seal the mixture in a plastic bag before tossing it in the trash. That's all I have for health this week. Now here's Emily Tibbetts for your weekly entertainment update.
Thanks, Natina. Well, Oprah, Ellen, and the girls on The View will not be showing reruns due to the writers' strike. David, Jay, Stephen, Conan, and Jimmy aren't so lucky. The Writers Guild of America began their strike Monday, and it is immediately affecting television. Last night aired reruns of shows such as The Late Show, The Tonight Show, The Colbert Report, and many others after the writers walked out. Most primetime shows have a month's worth of episodes, but the last strike in 1988 lasted for 22 weeks. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, well, at least for Eagles fans. 28 years after their last album, the Eagles released Long Road Out of Eden to be sold only at Walmart and Sam's Club. The album topped the charts with over 700,000 copies. The Eagles exceeded Britney Spears, who came in at number 2 by over 4,000 copies. Speaking of Britney, what would entertainment news be with an update of her mishaps and court procedures? This week, Britney parked in a disabled parking spot in a rush to get the tanning bed. Spears rushed in and out, avoiding a $500 fine if caught by the LA police. But $500 fines aren't the least of Britney's worries. This week, the court found that she must pay K-Fed a total of $120,000 in legal fees to pay for the attorney bills he racked up from his custody battle. Currently, Federline is receiving $15,000 a month in child support and another $20,000 a month in spousal support. That's all for your entertainment news this week. I'm Emily Tibbetts, only on Ashland 2 Night News. Stay tuned for more AU news.
But if you complete the journey, you will find your destiny among the world's greatest warriors. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Neurofibromatosis.
What?
Neurofibromatosis, or NF, is a genetic disorder that causes tumors to grow anywhere on or in the body. It can lead to blindness, deafness, loss of limbs, brain tumors, and severe disfigurement.
Neurofibromatosis.
Let me make it easy for you. Children's Tumor Foundation. The Children's Tumor Foundation, dedicated to ending neurofibromatosis through research. Let's all start saying it.
Children's Tumor Foundation.
Welcome back to Ashland Tonight News. Well, the last day to turn in applications for housing over the Thanksgiving break is November 16th. Be sure to hand it in by 5 o'clock to the Greek Affairs office.
Give blood and save lives. The Red Cross Blood Drive will be next week on Wednesday, November 14th from 12 to 6 p.m. Appointments are preferred, but walk-ins are welcomed.